Welcome to the Farm and Country podcast with the latest news, views and interviews from CCM Auctions. I'm Danielle Daggett from Craven Cattle Mart, and in today's episode I'm meeting with the upland farming family who combine healing with Herefords, from mending broken bodies to breeding beefy beasts. The Yorkshire Dales are a national gem, but what's been done to conserve the countryside we love and the rivers we rely on? We're in Addingham to find out. Springtime sees farmers become midwives. But what's the secret to a more calming calving? Iodine is the answer. The vet will tell us more. And whether you're buying or selling livestock, we'll be heading to the store cattle ring in Skipton for the latest sale prices and predictions. My home of Hartlington sits amongst the picturesque hills close to the banks of the River Wharfe, a place that's thought to be the smallest village in the Yorkshire Dales. But the location is a big deal for beef farmers Mark and Gemma Dobson. They're relative newcomers, but they've already settled into Dales life, established their herd of Pedigree Hereford cattle, and made a success of diversification. I met with them on the farm to find out when they moved to the area.
8 years ago, is it
2013, we got married in 2012. It was probably our second application for a tenancy. We were just sort of small time at Gemma's mum and dad's. We had 80 sheep. We'd started off with 15 heifers that we bought the year before, and so then started applying for tenancies, and then fortunately for some reason we got chosen, and
we're still wondering why.
And here we are. So yeah, it was always our intention to run a herd of Pedigree Herefords and combine that with commercial sheep.
Because you guys aren't from the Dales, are you? You're from a little bit further away.
Well, I'm born and bred Yorkshire, just not from this part of Yorkshire. Gemma, unfortunately, is from
Lancashire.
Oh dear.
The dark side, apparently.
But I did frequent in Lancashire for a number of years, and we lived at Gisborne. I lived and worked on a Pedigree Aberdeen Angus farm, and then we moved up from there.
And how have you found the transition to Dales life? Is it much different to over at Gisborne?
Yeah, we love it, don't we?
Yeah.
On a day like today, it's fantastic.
Perfect
lovely views. It's the type of farm we want, upland farm. And so, yeah, it fits in well with our Herefords that do well off this type of ground as well.
It's not a million miles away from our families, so that although it's an hour in either direction, we can call on them.
So Gemma's mum and dad farm over at Sabden, near Clitheroe, and my parents, they don't have a farm, but I'm from over near Whitby.
So what do you farm here now?
Currently run a herd of 60 Pedigree, they're all Pedigree Herefords, and we're around 350 sheep we're lambing this year, just starting yesterday. We sell all our breeding females for breeding, pick out the best bulls, and we look to sell around 8 to 10 bulls a year for breeding. And then what isn't good enough gets castrated and goes for meat, either through our beef box scheme or through Dunbuyer on the Hereford scheme.
We are trying this year, experimenting really, maybe selling stores sort of younger, 10-month-old, just seeing how it goes really, rather than finishing them ourselves. So
why Herefords? Is there something specific about the breed that drew you to?
It's a breed we've always liked, native breed, which is important for us.
Quiet,
very quiet. We've got a young family, and that's very important that they can interact with the herd as well. They do really well off grass. There's a lot of dairy farmers like them for bulls because they're easy calving, finish well, and so yeah, we take them on. We don't push them on. We usually finish our steers around 2 years old, just naturally off grass, and especially that coincides with our beef box in that it is definitely a better flavour, sort of longer matured over 2 years.
Are there any health schemes or anything like that you need to be involved in with Herefords?
You don't have to be. We chose to be in a health scheme, so we're currently accredited for IBR, BVD, Lepto and Yoni's level 1. It took us 3 years. You have to do 3 annual tests before you can be classed as accredited, so we started that straight away when we sourced our heifers back in 2012.
To be honest, we think that is a real draw for when we're selling them, because we do sell pretty much all our Herefords from home. Whether it's right or wrong, that's what tends to happen through word of mouth or whatever.
And we've also sold for recipients as well, haven't we?
Yeah, for
other herds.
For embryos. So I think the high health status that we've got really is a pull for when people are looking for heifers. So and dairymen coming for bulls.
It opens our females up to other breeds as well, because usually a high health herd would be another Pedigree herd. So say pedigree Limousins or Charolais that want to use embryos could come and buy ours because they're high health cows.
You've also got some diversification here on the farm.
We do.
Gemma,
yeah.
You've got a business of your own.
Yeah, so I came to the tenancy having had a gym studio and massage, sports massage predominantly. So I came to the tenancy with that, done it since about 2007. Before we came here, I was probably doing mainly personal training and massage just for my clients, whereas now it's probably flipped, and 90% of the work I do is now fixing people's broken bodies, which there seems to be a lot around here. So, I think the other thing is I was a bit cautious about bringing it up here and thinking, will people, what will people think about the actual business itself? But very quickly you do find out that families come and people, I think, have realised that being in pain isn't just really a thing anymore. You can get fixed.
There's definitely a number of broken farmers.
There's a lot of
the best thing is they're all local people, aren't
they?
The business is very local.
Yeah, to be fair, it's probably not more than about 5 or 6 mile radius where, my clients come from. The odd ones from back in on the dark side in Lancashire, but also it's nice because you know most people, or if you don't know them, you know somebody who knows them. So it's nice to be able to get that satisfaction of seeing them work without pain.
And you have a holiday let as well, which obviously won't have been running for the past year, but
no, but it's
back up again soon.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, right smack in the middle of lambing time. So I'm allowed to start working, which is probably our busiest time of year, but we'll work something out.
Hopefully everybody wanted to do staycation again this year.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I think so. How have you found lockdown then with a young family? I guess you've had some homeschooling to do until lately?
Yes, volumes of. It's fine, really enjoy having them at home. They're a good help, they're good company.
And they interested in farming as well?
Oh, mad keen, yeah. I think we probably sicken them off most days. We say, right, we'll go and do the sheep, and that's fine for the first 2 hours, but 5 hours later when we're still, haven't had lunch and we're still out in the rain or whatever. But we don't have ready babysitters, we don't have that on hand, so they do have to be with us basically all the time. So we are used to it. Well, we've got used to it, haven't we?
Yeah. No, they're very good. It works well in that, obviously I work here full time now. In terms of childcare, when she works, I don't. When I work, she doesn't. That's how it tends to work. So, and we bought this mule to get them all in, which works well as well, instead of the quad. So, yeah.
It's not for the livestock, it's just for children.
Thanks to Mark and Gemma. And if you've got a story to tell about your life on the farm, please get in touch with us here at the Farming Country Podcast. You can do that from the email form on our website at ccmauctions.com or via the direct email in the bio below. Spring has arrived, and that means late nights and new arrivals in the lambing sheds. But while gambling lambs seem to get all the attention at this time of year, cattle farmers are working just as hard in the calving sheds. So what's the best way to make sure that calves and their mothers are safe and healthy? Here's Jonathan Stockton from Craven Farm Vets with some advice.
The biggest and most important piece is to make sure your cows are in good condition score, so 2.5 to 3 should mean that cows should calve reasonably well. A lot of cows we know are short of energy and protein leading into that time, so supplementary feed might be required. And then the other thing on the front of nutrition would be additional magnesium, so either high mag buckets or magnesium into TMR ration if that's what you're feeding, to try and make sure that they calve with no low calcium, so slow calving basically, where you end up with dead calves. Particularly this time of year we see as the temperature warms up, contaminated silage tends to go off, and so we see more stillbirths, particularly in sucklers, being fed a lot of silage with Bacillus licheniformis, and that will cause stillbirth. And then the other thing we see quite a lot of in sucklers is low iodines. And we also see that in dairy heifers as well without supplementation. But so supplementing iodine at this time of year is a good idea for cows, and you can do that easily by putting tincture of iodine on the backs of cows. And calves tend to survive the birthing process much better if they're good iodine content.
BVD obviously a big issue, and has been a driver with BVD for a few years. What should people be looking for?
BVD control is quite complex, but one of the easiest ways to know whether you've got issues is to tag and test, and those tags can be bought in with your normal official tags, and so you buy your test on top of that, and doing them within a few weeks of birth will give you a very good idea what your disease status is on farm. But obviously it's testing for 8 to 9 months back would be when you're actually testing those calves really. So if you have PIs and they come back positive, they need culling out of the herd. But certainly you need to be, I think you really need to be looking at testing new cows or new animals coming onto the farm. Even if you're doing normal routine BVD control, you should be looking at that.
Yoni's obviously an issue going through. Is there anything we can be doing leading into calving? Does the stress of calving set stuff away, or is that just an ongoing year?
Yeah, so certainly the stress of calving, there will be more likelihood of cows showing disease at that time, losing weight and scouring coming up to calving or after calving, and they're a source of infection for everything else. So calving yards want to be clean. If you've got a suspicious cow, that would be better calved individually than calving in the group. And certainly if you can identify cows that you're not happy with leading up to calving, bleeding those prior to calving would help. The result takes about a week to get back. So it is possible you either isolate them straight away or you decide to, like I say, calve them away from the rest.
Just to flick back to lambing time, we're just seeing a lot of lambs starting to get on the ground now, and they'll be up and running away again and out of our hair and onto the grass. Scratching for off is obviously an issue. What's the best policy with this? I know where to scratch them and when to scratch them.
First off, we would say don't vaccinate for off if you don't have a problem, because you will cause yourself a problem. It's a live vaccine, so don't use it if you don't need to. And you should always scratch now under the axilla, to the front leg. And the reason for that is sheep will turn around and nuzzle the lambs, and if you've scratched them between the back legs, it is possible that you'll transfer that on. It's a live vaccine, so it's possible you'll transfer that to the ewe itself, and so they can end up with disease. And the other thing is to remember that ewes that have been bought in might not have been done, and so if you've got a disease problem, it's getting a bit late now, but if you have time, it is worthwhile vaccinating those ewes, and we do those under the tail. But that can be worthwhile if you have a particular problem with ORF.
Jonathan Stockton with some brilliant tips for calving season. He was talking to Sam Bradley. If you're enjoying the Farming Country podcast and would like to become a podcast sponsor, please get in touch. Our phone and email details are all on the website, ccmauctions.com. We'd love to hear from you. Every episode features Trade Talk, the latest news and trends from the auction ring in Skipton. So let's catch up with Jeremy Eaton and first Ted Ogden.
So we're crossing the Store Cattle Ring after today's sale on the 31st of March, and things have been rather good today. Sign of grass, bit of sunshine, and people are out looking for grazing cattle of all ages. So anything with a bit of hair on, doesn't matter if it's been 8 months old or 20 months old, suitable to put out to grass. Trade has been rather good for those. Plenty of customers about looking for anything for that job. Forward cattle, if you're looking at yearling forward cattle or under 12-month-old cattle, then bullocks and heifers, such as a run of 50 odd from Messrs King of North Lincolnshire, the best bullocks into 1300 regions, the best heifers into 1400 region. Really good to sell those. Anything butcher's quality, you can command 1100 to 1250, 1300 for those at the moment. Dairy crosses, again, if they're from 14 months to 18 months suitable to go outside, then plenty of guys to give 1100s to 1250s something to turn out to graze, maybe a touch more for something better, but you put some flesh on their backs and look like short-term keep, and the feeders are really strong on anything dairy cross or suckler cross that can go straight into those sheds and be turned round in a matter of a couple of months or weeks.
I've just finished the bull sale and probably seen them the best trade of the year so far. Admittedly, the bulls last year's spring cows are getting stronger all the time, but average wise, the bulls under 12 months have averaged £1,109, and the few bulls that there are about which are over 12 months have averaged £1,175. Both categories, the stronger end of the bulls, those bulls weighing 500 kilos or thick end of it, are all 1400, certainly 1350s, but a good store bull, 12 months of age, close on, just to fill pens, the right sorts with finish in them, medium keep, they've all been £1,300 as well today. Just a slightly lighter show because of lambing time, and also general decline in suckler cows nationally. I think we're just beginning to see a few bull feeders beginning to think that they might not be able to fill the pens if they don't crack on and get them bought now. Bottom end of the bulls, those sort of later born spring calves from last year, 330, 340 kilos, are all £1,000 plus up there. And then just a raggy story types of bulls, which in previous years might have been cut. They're around about the 850s, £900. So good trade all told. We then moved on to the feeding cows, and the feeding cows were admittedly the trade of the year once again, averaging 1076. Pretty impressive average if you consider there's quite a few first cross beef cows in there as well, which if they were lean they were still £800 to £900, and if they were carrying meat and that little bit heavier they were £1,200. And whilst we didn't have any exceptional blue cows in the market, number one Belgium type cows, those good straight twice cross continental cows were comfortably into £1,400 up to £1,500 as well. So plenty to be cheerful about, and plenty of confidence and heat in the trade. I don't see at the moment that it will change at all, because we're not going to see numbers, perhaps a few more about just at the end of lambing time, just into May.
Sheep with lambs at foot as well. With the grass just coming along, you've seen the trade just pick up again from 2 or 3 weeks ago. The early season trade had subsided, but now we're just beginning to get back into a bit more form on the trade for couples. Older sheep with strong lambs selling away fantastically well still, but younger sheep with twins and singles to put into flocks, now finding farmers coming out looking to replace those geld ewes that have been sold at these high prices on a Monday in the killing sheep market. Again, if you've got sheep to sell, sheep with lambs at foot, give us a ring by lunchtime Friday. Give us your entries for the online catalogue for people to look at over the weekend. Thank you.
There'll be more trade talk with Ted and Jeremy in our next episode. Now, they say water is vital for life, and it's true. It's also an essential part of farming and an invaluable asset to the beauty of the Yorkshire countryside. So what's been done to improve our water quality and conserve our water courses? Well, quite a lot, and it's in large part thanks to the work of the Yorkshire Dales Rivers Trust. On a site visit to Addingham, Sam Bradley found out more from Dr Marie Taylor, the Operations Director with the Trust.
So yeah, we've been started up in 2004. And we've been growing ever since then. Started with 1 member of staff, and now we're up to a team of 7. We have a range of us out on the ground working with farmers, landowners, communities. So we've just been working on 3 DEFRA funded NFM projects, one in Collingham, one in Bishopdale, and one at Brompton. And they're coming up to an end, but they've been a real success, and we've delivered just last year 13 scrapes, which have provided fantastic and habitat benefits, along with natural flood management, and able to retain and store some of that flood water that comes up.
Just talk us through you talk about some of your success stories across the Dales.
So we are divided into 2. We've got the Dales to Vales Rivers Network, and we've got 2 catchments, the operational catchments. So there's the Suna and the Wharf. So together, the DVRN work with other partners like the Environment Agency, the Water Company, councils, the National Park, Natural England, Forestry Commission, even the Wildlife Trust and the Wild Trout Trust as well.
So Marie, what's your plans for 2021? What's the message going forward?
So in 2021, we're hoping to have some funding come through for tree planting. Will help to cool and provide some shade and cover for the rivers. So that's one of the projects, and also there's the T-Swale Metal Mine project that's just had its approved for its phase 1, and now we're on phase 2 for delivery, looking to tackle mine water pollution. And then regarding the Upper Wharf, I mean, many of you have heard hopefully about the citizen science project we've been doing and all the monitoring along the wharf and water quality testing. They're providing really good indicators of where we need to be targeting our efforts, and we're hoping to do some further engagement working with landowners and farmers to reduce and improve the water quality in that area.
Dr. Marie Taylor from the Yorkshire Dales Rivers Trust. And that's all for this episode of the Farming Country podcast. The next one will be available from Friday the 23rd of April. Until then, why not read all about us? We've just published our annual CCM news. It's full of updates and information from people in the know. There are farming features and informed comment from the experts, along with a roundup of the 2020 and early 2021 show and sale season at Skipton. Hard copies are available in the Mart office, and you can read or download from the link on our homepage at ccmauctions.com. But for now, from me and all of us on the team, thanks for listening.